Hey there, and welcome. We're about to dive into a topic that is, no joke, one of the most important things for any business owner to get right: OSHA compliance. Now, I know, it can sound a little intense, but really think of it as your guide to creating a safer and honestly, a more profitable workplace. So, let's get into it. Okay, just picture this for a second. An official OSHA investigator walks through your door, clipboard in hand. Everything just stops. You know this is serious. They're going to ask a lot of questions, but there is one question they are almost guaranteed to lead with. And your answer? Well, it sets the tone for the entire inspection. Any guesses what it is? And there it is, right off the bat. The very first thing they want to know is about your training. Not your fancy equipment, not the policy manual sitting on a shelf, but did your people actually get the training they needed to do their job safely? This one question tells you everything you need to know. Training isn't just a nice to have, it's your absolute first line of defense. So, what happens if your answer to that big question isn't a confident, immediate yes? Well, let's talk about the real-world price you pay when you decide to just kick this can down the road. This really frames the whole thing perfectly. It's a choice. On one side, you've got the cost of doing nothing, and it's steep. We're talking serious civil fines, public citations, and yeah, in the most extreme cases, even criminal charges. But then look at the other side. This isn't just about avoiding the bad stuff. Investing in safety training actually pays you back. Seriously, for every dollar a business puts into safety, they often see a return of $4 to $6. Why? Because you get fewer injuries, morale goes way up, and you can often get a break on your insurance premiums. It's kind of a no-brainer when you see it laid out like this. All right, to really get why this is so critical, we have to go back to the very foundation of OSHA law. It all boils down to one single fundamental idea. This right here is the heart of it all. It's called the General Duty Clause. And that key phrase you need to remember is recognized hazards. All this is saying is that as an employer, you have a basic responsibility to protect your team from dangers that you know about, or frankly, that you should know about. And as we're about to see, recognized hazards covers a lot more ground than you might think. Okay, so we've got the why down. Now let's get practical and talk about the what. We're going to walk through 4 essential training areas that apply to almost every business out there, and I bet a couple of these are going to surprise you. First up, sexual harassment prevention. This is not just an HR best practice, okay? It is a full-blown compliance requirement with roots in federal law and more, really specific state laws. Making sure your workplace is free from harassment is an absolute non-negotiable part of your duty as an employer. Just to see how specific this gets, let's use California as an example. Now remember, you've got to check your own state's rules, but look at this. If you have just 5 or more employees in California, your supervisors need 2 hours of training every 2 years. Your non-supervisory staff, they need 1 hour. This isn't a friendly suggestion. It's the law, with hard deadlines. Moving on to our second zone, workplace violence prevention. And this connects directly back to that general duty clause we were just talking about. Part of providing a workplace free from recognized hazards absolutely includes taking steps to prevent violence. The key thing to get here is that you have to be proactive. You can't just wait for something bad to happen. Again, using a state like California as a leader on this, the law now says most employers have to create a written violence prevention plan and, this is crucial, train their employees on it every single year. It is all about being prepared. Okay, now for a big one that so many people miss: office ergonomics. Yeah, I know you're thinking, it's just an office, how dangerous can it be? But repetitive stress injuries are a huge recognized hazard. That general duty clause applies just as much to a desk chair and a keyboard as it does to a forklift. So why is this training so important? Because OSHA considers it a feasible and useful way to deal with these risks. Good training makes your employees aware of how to set up their workstations properly. But even more important, it teaches them to report the early warning signs of things like carpal tunnel or tendinitis before they turn into a chronic, serious problem. It's all about catching it early. And our final zone covers one of the oldest and most common causes of injuries at work: slips, trips, and falls. I mean, these can happen literally anywhere, from a warehouse floor to an office hallway, and you better believe OSHA considers them a recognized hazard you need to address. Good training here is all about building practical, everyday awareness. Teaching the right way to lift a box to avoid throwing out your back, making people aware that even a tiny clear spill on the floor is a major hazard. And maybe most importantly, creating a culture where every single person feels empowered to point out an unsafe condition the second they see it without fear of getting in trouble. So, we've gone through all the requirements, all the must-dos. Let's bring it back to the good stuff. Because this isn't just about dodging bullets and avoiding fines. It's actually about building a stronger, healthier business. And this just lays out that positive ripple effect so clearly. It starts when you implement good training. Right away, you start seeing fewer injuries. That, in turn, boosts morale because your team feels like you actually care about their well-being. And all of that good stuff can lead to very real savings, like lower insurance costs. See? It's a win-win-win. But wait, there is one last piece to this whole puzzle, and I can't stress this enough. It is not enough to just do the training. You have to be able to prove you did it. If you remember one thing, let it be this. Document everything. I mean, everything. For every training you do, you need a record. Who is there? What date was it? What materials did you use? Do you have signed certificates of completion? You need all of it. Because when that inspector shows up and asks that very first question, this paperwork is your answer. Without proof, from a legal perspective, the training might as well have never even happened. So, I'll leave you with this question. If that investigator walked in your door tomorrow, right now, and asked to see your training records, what would you show them? Is everything there, organized, and ready to go? It's a question you definitely want to have a good answer for before you're asked.